Welcome to ENside Politics, our weekly podcast on 2 or 3 things you need to know about San Antonio politics. I'm Greg Jefferson, politics editor of the San Antonio Express News. I'm joined today by reporter Madison Iszler.
Hello.
Iszler. Yeah. It's Iszler. And our special guest today is District 2 Councilman Jalen McKee-Rodriguez.
Thank you for having me back.
Hey, you look well rested for being a new parent. So
it's a projection of strength.
Is it? Okay, so you have a baby girl. Got her in July. How's it going?
Actually, late June.
Oh, is it? Okay.
It's been wonderful. It's been definitely a lot of learning, a lot of rebuilding who I believed myself to be versus who I need to become, and it's been wild. I view.
So how are you different now from
I do feel like
in June.
As patient as I thought I was, I feel like I'm much more patient now. I don't have as much interest in, I don't know, what other I had conflict. I think also things feel so much more urgent. I'm thinking about, like, people are already asking, like, where is she going to go to school? Where is she going to go to daycare?
She's 3 months old. 4. 3 or 4. Yeah.
About to be 4 months. Is she going to go to pre-K for essay? Like, it's happening. And so it's...
Well, is she?
We'll see.
Since you're already thinking about it. You know.
I would love for her to go to pre-K for essay. I love it's a wonderful, wonderful program. They just... did celebrate the grand opening of the South Side location. It's beautiful. It's much closer to the East Side. Mm-hmm. So already a big win for me.
Mm-hmm. How much sleep are you getting?
See the difference? So I was not sleeping before.
Okay. Well,
but I do feel like it's different when...
Hold on. What do you mean you weren't sleeping before? Do you have sleeping problems, or you're in insomnia?
I've always been the kind of person, like, I'll get up at 3, 4 a.m. and I'll, like, have an idea that's been itching my brain for a while, and I have to get it out. I have to write something, or I have to.
There are pharmaceuticals for that, you know.
No, I don't. It's never been a problem with how I am in the real world and whatnot. And so in this instance with parenthood, the difference is that it's different when you are awake of your own volition and you can blame yourself. When you have to be attentive and you have to address a need outside of your own, it's very different. And it gives me a whole new perspective on parents in my life and people that I've known that have been parents. And it's very eye-opening.
How do you divide chores with your husband?
It's pretty, so there's of course the time thing. So I'm the nighttime dad. So midnight to 5 a.m. is exclusively like my time.
The night shift.
And then 5 a.m. till about the time Nathan has to go to work. It's his time. So if she wakes up and cries anytime after 5, it's on him and I get to sleep for a little bit. It's been a little bit better lately. She's sleeping more through the night. Mm-hmm. It's not been as, those first 2 months were rowdy. Those first few months were rowdy, but and then I think it's pretty even and fair. It's hard to create that delineation. If something's needed, then we do it.
Yeah. So you took family leave from when to when?
It was 8 weeks. So it was from August 1st to I came back on September 26th.
So you missed a lot at council, although maybe not. I mean, you missed the budget debates over police staffing and things like that. You missed big fights over policy making from the mayor. Do you regret having not been present for any of that?
Absolutely not. Yeah. So there's a few thoughts. One is Leo Castillo-Anguiano did such a beautiful job and fantastic job. My interim, the interim we appointed, he did such a fantastic job, and I don't think I would have done anything differently from him. Of course, I was watching the council meetings from afar, and I was watching, and it is very different. So much of what happens at council is nonverbal communication, and so when we're on the dais, we're of course saying we're doing our 10-minute, our 5-minute, but then we're also, you see each other's reactions to certain things that people are saying. You're sort of, I joked about this when I first got elected, but as a teacher, when people are texting each other, and there have been times where, like, you look over and see somebody and you know who they're texting and you can see the other and so it's like
the way they're responding.
There's like little things that happen that you see so much about the relationships on council, like when we're all sitting around a table, you see people's genuine reaction to things. Sometimes they're not so genuine reaction to things. What I miss the most, I think, I really love this council in particular. So much of those first couple of months after swearing in is relationship building. Folk are moving into City Hall, they're moving into their own field offices, but there's a lot more, people spend a lot more time at City Hall because there's so many more meetings happening at
and there are a lot of new faces on council.
And there's several new faces, right? And so it was very, I missed that part, but I think one thing that is clear is that I was never the drama. So and things are much calmer now that I'm back, aren't they?
Yeah, so you mentioned that it seems calmer now than while you were gone. What did you make of? And you were watching from afar. Granted, like you were probably exhausted and you had a lot going on with your baby, but I'm sure you were following the news, the fights between the mayor and a segment of council over the policy-making apparatus, and the term sheet for the Spurs arena, the fight over that. What did you make of that? I mean, did you say, "Oh, this is not going well," or is this kind of natural growing pains for a new council?
I think a part of it is growing pains, of course, and you have so many new folk on council, including a mayor who were not a part of these initial discussions, and even those of us who were, I for one. I was telling at my Project Town Hall Marvel meeting, at the Project Marvel Town Hall meeting, I was saying this has been a really long bet that I've had, because day one, when we saw the renderings, the concept art of what Project Marvel could look like, I said, if you take this out to people right now and you say, hey, Project Marvel, we want to do this, people are going to feel, that's going to blindside people, and people are going to feel like they were not brought along on this conversation and that you built something without them. And especially in District 2, that's always been the sentiment, is that we're the last to know, we're the last to be able to provide input on something, and we're going to be the most, and we're often the most impacted. And so if you do this and you move forward on this plan and you say, and you very quickly ask for support on this without doing the work of getting people to buy into a vision for downtown or a planning effort, then it's going to go awry. And if you take it to voters, I don't think it's going to go the way that you think it's going to go. And so on Tuesday, we'll find out. Right.
Yeah. So, so we've got two propositions, of course. This is the obligatory rundown. Bear with me. Prop A would set aside Bexar County tax revenue for about $192 million in renovations at the county-owned Coliseum grounds. This is Freeman Coliseum, Frost Bank Center, surrounding property. The idea being, if you spruce it up and add enough improvements, you can host kind of Western-themed events year-round. Good thing for the East Side. We'll find out if that's how you feel about it in a moment. Prop B is, what does it get? I always, $311 million, right? And same county taxes generating that revenue to go toward a Spurs arena at Hemisfair. The overall cost of the arena is $1.3 billion, and the city's share would be up to $489 million, with the Spurs kicking in $500 million. All of that said, how do you feel about Prop A and Prop B? You haven't voted yet, right?
I have not gotten to vote yet.
Why not? Are you an election day voter, or?
No, I like to vote with my husband.
Okay.
So we both have to be available at the same time. So sometime this week we'll be definitely voting. We always vote early. Usually it'd be like the Saturday before.
Because you have through Friday.
Yes. Okay. We're going to make it happen. We're going to make it happen.
You didn't make it happen over the weekend. So.
No, I did not. But no, we always vote. We always vote early for sure. So we're going to be voting early, and it'll be before Tuesday.
Okay.
I put out my voter guide on my Instagram page at Jalen McKee-Rodriguez. And I recommend voting against both Prop A and Prop B. And Prop A, largely, this is a big part of the grander conversation about moving the Spurs downtown, is, what happens to Frost Bank Center. And I think Judge Sakai's solution to that was, we can't put anything on the ballot unless we also put something on the ballot for Freeman Coliseum and Frost Bank. And there, the low-hanging fruit is the stock show and rodeo. if you ask folk around around the east side, what did you think was going to happen? What were the promises that were made, and how do you make those whole? You're not going to hear more year-round Western rodeo and by that, and events.
So those kind of unfulfilled promises. This goes back to the 1999 election, right?
I was a wee lad.
How old were you?
I was 4.
Oh my God!
I might have been 3, depending on when the vote.
So in 1999, we had a county venue tax election. The Spurs prevailed, and what became the Frost Bank Center was built. As part of that campaign, it's hard to find any instances where, back in '99, that the campaigners actually promised economic growth, promised development. They got awfully close, and in the end, I don't think it really matters much because that's I think voters on the east side felt like they'd gotten some guarantees.
Because you may go back and watch meetings or read the articles. What happens are a series of town halls where you try to get voters on the east side to buy into something. And you may not put something in writing, but you're definitely promising that as a result of a yes vote, you're going to be seeing restaurants and retail and attractions, and there's going to be things for you to take your family to. Yeah. And so that's what people want to see. And have they been brought along on the idea? It was just that was also kind of just sprung on them is, hey, you're also going to be voting to expand the rodeo's presence.
Right.
And is that, maybe that is the solution. I don't know, but I wish that community engagement for both propositions was handled differently. And I think at the end of the day, we could do better. And so
go ahead.
Why do you think development on the east side has been difficult to achieve? The type that you're talking about, the restaurants, the retail. Obviously, there's a lot of industrial development around the Frost Bank Center, and we'll talk about the rezoning efforts later. But in your conversations with folks in that industry, the people that actually build these things, what do they say are the hurdles or the reason they're not opening restaurants and building apartments and doing more in these neighborhoods that you're describing?
For sure. There's layers, right? So there's layers and just the historical context of our city and the redlining that has taken place that made it so that folk in the east side, west side, south side were a little bit poorer. A lot of developers are not going to develop things where people are going to spend money somewhere if they don't have it. And so that's the start. That's very foundational level. Second to that is the east side became this sort of industrial mecca where it's manufacturing, it's warehousing, it's all of these things that they've reduced the number of households that there are. There's eventually the capacity for households and household income and those things that are deciding factors of whether or not a business is going to set up shop. They have a huge impact on that as well. Do you want to put up a restaurant right next to Coca-Cola manufacturing? It's difficult. And then especially in this area around the Frost Bank Center, and I know you want to talk about this large area rezoning, but there's these industrial sort of operations that are kicking dust up into the air. There was a porta potty cleaning business that was right next to this neighborhood that the entire neighborhood just smelled awful. And they've been dealing with these kinds of things for years. And, I think beyond all of those things, you can't make private interests develop or invest in communities that they don't care about. Mm-hmm. And so that's a reckoning that I think my community has had to sort of self-realize is that these folk don't care about us. They don't want to invest in us. And if they did, they did care, then they would have been doing it already.
Mm-hmm. One of the difficulties, setting aside the pieces you've just described, that I've heard is with the Frost Bank Center, the Spurs games, and the other events there's not a lot of consistent, sufficient year-round foot traffic to get who's ever going there, setting aside the people in the neighborhoods, to go to restaurants or bars or the like in the area. And so with the rodeo plan, part of what the pitch seems to be is we'll bring a lot more people in. And so there will be more of that consistent foot traffic. Do you buy that? Do you think that could play into the development that spans out, or not really?
In a perfect world, honestly, even setting aside Prop A and setting aside if it was the rodeo or it was the Spurs, you have to do something with these parking lots. These parking lots themselves are a barrier. And what would it look like to have an outside, to have that sort of La Cantera kind of feel, which I think is what they want to accomplish.
Who's they?
What are you talking about?
The rodeo? The
I
county?
think the rodeo is actually, I think the combination of all involved. I think they want to accomplish something like that, but it's, I don't know that I ask the question one more time.
I'm just wondering if you think that basically the pitch that the programming that the rodeo's proposed could bring way more consistent, frequent foot traffic to that area, whether that would help solve the absence of development by creating some consistent customer bases.
That will be solely up to the rodeo, just like any other business, right? So there's businesses that open up and think they're going to do really well and that they're going to be attracting people to come out. The rodeo is going to have to do the work of getting people out year round. And is, for the brief period of time that the rodeo is a thing now, that in and of itself, that limit is an attraction. And so people come out for that period of time. They have to do the work to make sure that year round it's successful. And I don't know what that looks like. I don't know what that model looks like.
Now, before this got put on the ballot, Proposition A, did the San Antonio Livestock Exposition, which is the nonprofit that runs the rodeo, did they approach you? Did they say, hey, we've got this great master plan. We want to talk to you about it?
We've spoken a couple times, not necessarily about, this great master plan, but I think very early on when I was having conversations with Spurs, I expressed to them, your duty is to make this right. You have to leave a community better than you found them. And you haven't. And I know that I'm hearing that, they want 24/7 or 365 rodeo presence. That's not the Spurs making right. And so.
What was the Spurs' response when you said that to them?
They understood.
Did they make any commitments about what their participation over there could look like, or?
Nothing differently to me than what's been said publicly.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sounds like you might find that unsatisfying.
Yeah, I think what I would do, even in, I think what my recommendation that folk vote no on both Props A and B is at the end of the day, there's an opportunity to renegotiate all of this. And I think my colleagues and city council as a whole weakened our hand by making this all about, give the Spurs what they want so that they stay. That was them leaving. We did that. We put that out there. Media put that out there. It was never something that they said. They said their commitment was to the city. And so we should have started there. And I think just every step along the way, we were weakening our hands. We were giving concessions when they weren't asked. And I think should voters reject this in a couple days, I think it gives the city and county back leverage.
So just to be clear, you're not concerned about, so you're not concerned about the Spurs the day after the election if Prop B goes down saying, you know what, hey, I got a call from Seattle, I'm going to return the call, or from Las Vegas or whomever.
There's so many layers to a professional team packing up and leaving. There's so many layers.
I agree with you, by the way.
So many things have to happen for that to take place. And I know that the Spurs they wanted this vote in May. They want a deal as quickly as they can get it, and they want to guarantee their funding as quickly as they can. If the quickest that they can is sometime next year, then I have a feeling that's a little bit easier than going out to another city, finding out if they can do all this again, possibly face the risk of another city voting them down, or them having to put in all of the money in a new location.
Now, let's go back to Prop A, or kind of a side issue related to Prop A, which is Bexar County Judge Peter Sakai and his desire to get a hold of Willow Springs, the municipal golf course right across the street from the arena. The idea, I think, he's talked about a resort, maybe having a resort hotel there. I mean, there are no real concrete plans. I think they put out a call for proposals from developers. They got them back. We haven't seen any of those designs yet. What do you think, just conceptually, what do you think of the idea of deeding the municipal golf course to the county?
I have a real, it's more complex than this, but I'll break it down to trust, I guess, or I'll attribute it to trust or a lack of trust. I don't know that I trust handing over essentially a green space to the county and saying, we trust that you're going to do community engagement and you're going to do what's right by the people and you're going to do something with this. If the desire is to do something, I don't know why what the problem is with the city doing that. And a hotel, again, I think the judge wants to do something on the east side, but you have to bring the community along. And is a hotel that was not what was expected. And is a hotel going to be successful right there? Yeah. Next to the Coca-Cola manufacturing plant? Right. Because there's a rodeo?
You'd really have to love golf and rodeo.
You'd have to. I think, yeah. And so I'm not bought into it. I'm still, in order for that to happen, the council has to approve that. And based on what I've heard, I don't see that happening, but there's many a conversation to be had until then.
Yeah. So Judge Sakai and State Representative Barbara Gervin-Hawkins, they convened a business advisory group to come up with how to make things right economically on the east side. It's a quirky little group. It's about 15 members, and as you well know, it is pretty much a secret society. You can't find their agenda anywhere. You've got to request it. They don't have public meetings. If you're going to appear before the group, you have to be invited. What's your relation? Do you have a seat on that board or not?
I attended a couple meetings, and I'll be. Normally, when I have a grievance or a problem, I do like to go to the elected first. And I have not had that opportunity with Representative Gervin-Hawkins or Judge Sakai. What I will express is, I think there are a lot of people on that committee that have such great ideas. Like I said, I went to a couple meetings. They had great ideas. I think that they were on the money in terms of what the community would like to see. But at the end, I think it feels like engagement for the sake of engagement. And I don't know that what the committee wants is what is actually on the mind of either of those conveners.
Yeah. And also, I mean, these board members signed a non-disclosure agreement. Did you sign a non-disclosure agreement?
I have never signed it. I have never signed a non-disclosure agreement.
Other board members have. So I guess my question is, you'd mentioned Project Marvel and kind of the lack of the lack of transparency, right? Like that's whatever political problems there are with Project Marvel now. I think a lot of it goes back to the fact that so much of this happened behind the scenes, just outside of public view. And it looks to me like the state representative and the county judge looked at that and said, yeah, more of that. We need more of that. We need a lack of transparency, because if you want public buy-in, let's do it behind a screen and then just present the results at the very end.
What was conveyed to me was that everyone agreed that an NDA was the right move, because and limiting participation. They don't want the conversations that are happening to be construed as promises. And so because these discussions are happening does not mean that anything here is actually going to happen or take place or be developed.
Right.
These are all conceptual, and I've refrained from participating as of late. It does feel a little icky to me. There are great people that are participating, that are even leading some of those discussions, but I think, I don't know, it doesn't feel right.
As an elected official who's won re-election pretty handily, and you have you must have some political sense, right? Tell me how it's going to go over when this group finishes its work and it rolls out whatever report it has out to the public, how do you think it's going to be taken by voters? Do you think anybody is going to pay this any credence at all? And it's a super loaded question because I don't think so.
The challenge is, again, I haven't been to, I think maybe the conversations could have changed, but a lot of those, man, I didn't sign an NDA, right?
Yeah, you can say whatever you want.
So my understanding was that it really was about the future of the Frost Bank Center, the Freeman Coliseum, this whole complex, and that Willow Springs was a minor part of that. So largely it was what happens to the grounds. And to me, it seems like that question is answered if Prop A and Prop B pass. And so I don't know what happens. I don't know how you do what the group was asking for, from my understanding, under this new context.
Yeah. Now, to move on to Prop B. So this is the Spurs funding. Straight up no on that.
We could get a better deal, and maybe I'd be supportive of that.
Well, I mean, let's go back to the origin of this. Let's go back to early 2023 when Eric Walsh was opening conversations with the Spurs legal counsel, Bobby Perez, former city councilman, about, a downtown location. And it kind of progressed from there. This is in July 2023. When did you become aware that the city was talking with the Spurs about moving their home court out of your district to downtown?
The exact month is escaping me, but I remember having a conversation with Ron and Eric, and Mark was right after me. So it had to have been a little bit after some point after he got elected, but I don't know the month. And I remember when I first got into the meeting, I joked. I said, please don't tell me y'all are starting a podcast together. Is it Eric? And that was when I guess it sounded like, because there's always been, I think, for as long as any of us have been around, are the Spurs wanting to leave San Antonio? Yeah. Do they want to go downtown? It's always been a whisper for as long as I've been elected and before that. And so this was a conversation that was like, hey, this is getting a little bit more serious. We're going to start having a conversation about Spurs Arena. Before that, I did know that we needed to have it. I don't know. I don't want to lie, and so I don't want to get the order of events wrong, but I do remember having a conversation about Alamo Dome and the convention center and the need to expand those and be competitive with some of the other areas. And so to me, the way that I remember it and the way that I wish it had been conveyed is, hey, we have these facilities. We have the convention center, we have the Alamo Dome, and we have, what else is something else?
The Wood Courthouse.
The Wood Courthouse. That was never, that one blindsided me. That one
blindsided into a music venue.
You have the Alamo Dome and you have the convention center, and then we're also having this conversation about the missions, but I don't know that had been a conversation yet. You have these two facilities that in order for them to be competitive and in order for us to do what we want to do, they have to be improved. We don't know how, we don't know when, we don't know what that's going to look like. But eventually it became, if we're going to do this, because these two facilities are so close together, we should think of this as a really good planning exercise where we look at the downtown and do we plan something bigger and better? And so then with the conversation about the ITC and the Spurs Arena, that became another I think ITC was what it was. So I just knew about the possibility of an ITC. And so then the conversation was, hey, all these moving pieces, this could be a sports and entertainment district. And then you take all the grant that we got, it's like a bunch of pieces that fell together. But to me, the arena was always the last piece of it, or the last thought. It was an option and it was there, but it wasn't central.
Right.
What I think,
but city staff,
and that's my interpretation. Right?
Oh, okay. So it seems like they're, I think they've been pretty clear. Eric Walsh on down saw or do see a Spurs Arena as the centerpiece, like the crown jewel.
Definitely, I think that's definitely what it became, and I think that if the Spurs expressed interest in the ITC and in being downtown in a city-owned arena, then that would be central to a sports entertainment district. Without that, you don't really have, it's a convention center and a stadium. Yeah. It's not necessary.
Some nice green space.
You know, it is a district, but it's not the sports entertainment district that the Spurs arena then allows for. So I think the vision really came to be what it is based off of those conversations with the Spurs and their interest and clear desire to move downtown.
Yeah. Did you have any sense of betrayal on the Spurs or the city on either of their parts for even talking about moving away from the east side to downtown?
No, you can never feel betrayed. And I think that even the sentiment in my district and on the near east side where all of this is, it's always just about how do we get that developed. We were promised all of these things. When do we get that? And it's not necessarily about, if the Spurs were going to do that, they would have done it. If it was going to happen because of the Spurs, then it would have happened. And so at this point, the community really just wants what is owed, and whether or not that includes the Spurs is, you know, that's neither here nor there. But in addition to that, you can't have an empty arena. You can't have empty facilities taking up all this space. And so all of it has to work in a way that provides some sense of justice.
You said that you're encouraging voters to not back Props A and B, in part because you think that the city could get a better deal. What would a better deal look like with the Spurs?
I think so I'll take better deal out of my, is that lexicon? Is that what Let's say, I think there's an opportunity to go back to the community, and all the conversations that we've had have been way too late. It's been we already had, like, folk were ready to vote on a term sheet before they knew what the term sheet had in it. And so at that point, how do you consider constituent feedback or community buy-in? How do you do that? And so if voters say no, then we have to start over. We have to go much slower than we did. We can't bring this back. And I don't think we could bring this back in May. I don't think that is a possibility, but we take a good amount of time. It's clearly something that city leadership wants. It's clearly something the county leadership wants. And it's clearly something that the Spurs and Stock Show and the rodeo want. And so if we start over, all already at that understanding, I think there were so many people in the community who want to vote yes, but because of the way that it all went about, and I'll say this, it's been really funny reading headlines of the past few years. And at first it was all about, you know, this project that's shrouded in secrecy and NDAs. And it wasn't. But the thing is, it wasn't as far along as everyone made it out to be. Well, like, I mean, every week we were getting open.
That's the problem with the lack of that's the problem with having no transparency. You can't say, because you're bound up by an NDA, hey, we're not that far along. And well, what are you doing? We can't tell you. I mean, so pardon us.
And I'm with you. And I use voices for everyone and everything. But that's going to be my media voice for not shrouded in secrecy. This is what's going on. Yeah.
And
then,
I can't tell you how many times I wrote or spoke the word secrecy in the last 2.5 years. A lot.
And I'm with you. I think, and so many of, I agree that there should have been times where we said there's nothing to share because we literally are, like, all we've said. Well, I can't even.
The problem is Eric Walsh on down said, well, there's really nothing to tell you. Other than interest. But I mean, that becomes meaningless if everything leading up to that point is a secret, because we don't know. There's no accountability. We can't test that against, previous knowledge. We don't have previous knowledge. Because the city won't tell us.
Y'all were all doing your job. I'm not. That's not a gripe of mine. I feel
Councilman,
like
I am so sorry. This is just a pet peeve of mine, and you just nailed it. You just nailed it.
And my thing is, I feel as though I'm trying to remember if I would have said this in an executive session, but I also think I said it openly. And it's that the whole rollout, everything about this was botched.
Right.
Everything about it. Uh-huh. And so you can't go from it's just not shocking to me that something that started off as this big secret for however long it was a big secret to suddenly there's renderings and there's all these things that are ready to discuss. that people don't feel like people don't trust it. They didn't like the process. It seemed shady. And why would you reward that? Mm-hmm. Right. I wouldn't.
Now, how do you have any kind of gut instinct of how it's going to go on election day? Like, is it going to squeak by? Is it going to go down?
I feel like I've had, so for the past few propositions that have been on the ballot, because I've been in campaign mode and block walking and knocking on doors and doing all these things, I feel like I had a really good sense of what was happening, at least in my district, and through like campaign consultants and folk, you kind of get a sense of what's happening in other districts as well. Everyone I speak to, it just seems like it's going to be really close. If it was just my district and that was the only thing I was looking at, I'd say it fails. I don't think that it does well in my district at all. And I don't know that it does well in several other districts, but I don't know. There's so many. I don't know who's showing up to vote that doesn't usually show up to vote. And that usually answers the question. That usually answers the question of how are things going are the voters that you know their behavior when they show up, it's like, okay, well, I can kind of tell where this is going. But when you have a bunch of unexpected folk, I don't know how many there are.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the two different outcomes depending on how that goes. So if it passes, the Spurs, the city, the county will have to hash out a bunch of different agreements. Relocation agreement for the operation of the arena, how the development around it will work, all of these different things. And I'm wondering what you would want to see in those agreements, if there are any particular things that you would push for.
As wrong as it sounds, I just don't think I don't think that's how the conversations are going to go. It's going to be, the term sheet is what it is. Those are essentially the things that are agreed to. It's just about specific language in a contract that is going to be negotiated over time. And maybe a few, like, I don't think anything substantial changes. Maybe it's, what I would mostly want to see is answers for those sort of development guarantees. I think maybe even if I could do things differently, or if I could sway any of the investment or any of the community benefits, I would sway them towards the east side, towards some sort of what I'd really like to see as a master planning effort, similar to Project Marvel, obviously not at that scale and scope, but we deserve a corridor, we deserve a Brooks, we deserve some sort of revitalization effort. And I would like to tie that to this agreement.
So are we talking about the community benefits agreement? This is the Spurs promising $75 million.
It's all going to, I'm considering it all one conversation.
Okay.
So not just the $70 million over 30 not just that part, the whole situation.
Right. Okay. Got it. Now, but it sounds like you've really not heard anything from the Spurs city or county that's anything like that is going to happen.
No. You're asking what would I like to do. So
well, I mean, no. I mean, I was asking what I was asking, but the follow up is, what would you like? What would you like to?
Well, yeah. I mean, that's it. So November 4th happens, then that's my next opportunity to try to see what can move. Yeah.
Is there, I in conversation with a couple supporters of Prop B. There's an argument, and I want to kind of get your take on it, that the Spurs have offered their best offer. And if, it's not going to get any better than it is right now. And there will be no revenue sharing, which is what, Mayor Gina Ortiz-Jones wants. Spurs has said, no, that's not going to happen. And if Prop B goes down, basically, the city is at a disadvantage in negotiating with the Spurs, and it's really not going to be as good. Who
said that?
Well, like I said, Prop B supporters. I was very clear. I was very clear about that.
For sure.
And so you take that with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
But can you foresee, the possibility that, okay, if voters say no to Prop B, and the Spurs say, okay, we're not going anywhere, because that's a lot. It's a lot. So we're gonna continue negotiating with the city, maybe the county, but as that drags on over time, they could get recruitment calls from Las Vegas, from Seattle, and that could, inevitably somebody's going to leak that to the media, It's going to put pressure on city officials, and you could wind up with kind of a crappy deal, at least compared to what you have now. Is that not, you don't see that playing out, that possibility?
I see where they're coming from. I think that makes some amount of sense. There's just so many, I still disagree. Because essentially what's being asked, if and when we come back to the table, should the proposition not fail, we're being asked as a body of elected officials to go against the will of our community.
Right.
And so we have to get something fantastic, like something has to change. And realistically, it has to be definitely has to start off with the community engagement, but we should have built that term sheet around what we were hearing from our community. And that's not the case.
Now, I'd like to shockingly move on past the election and get to what I find just like a really...
So the race for Bexar County judge?
I mean, so who are you going to endorse? Ron Nirenberg or Peter Sagai? Well, because I know you're a big fan of Ron Nirenberg.
So Ron didn't say he was running, has he? Has he said he was running?
No, we had a story in which a source with direct knowledge of his decision said he's running. He did not respond to interview requests. We've not heard from him elsewhere. He's told other media outlets, I'm thinking about it. That's according to our reporting, that's not earned.
Can I tell you, as someone who views like the work of being an elected official is it's work, and you have a job and a duty to represent your constituents, do the best that you possibly can. Right. Take that very seriously. Campaigning is a sport to me. And the principle of the matter is Ron needs to run against him, because you're not going to post Judge Sakai's post about the rumor, basically, that he was running, saying, Ron was doing all this and this and this and blah, 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 and he never did. All of that, instead of picking up the phone, is crazy to me. So at the principle of the matter alone is you're not going to do that and think I'm not going to run against you. So principle of the matter alone, I think Ron should do it.
In that event, you going to take sides in that race? Democratic primary?
I would have to make it a spectacle, so we'll see. No announcement here just yet.
I mean, there should probably be a race at some point, and then you can weigh in. Anyway, so back to this really interesting rezoning kind of fight. You've got neighbors who have, it looks to me like they've taken it on, and these are, from neighborhoods around the Frost Bank Center, exactly in the area we've been discussing. They've kind of taken, and if I'm wrong, let me know, but it looks like they've taken it upon themselves to really kind of force the issue of rezoning, to take the area's kind of heavy industrial zoning and down zoning, what's known as down zoning, making it, making zoning for lighter uses, for commercial, residential, that kind of thing. Tell me about this movement and when you became aware of it and kind of where you're at with it.
I'll tell you, I think it's been, so this is definitely an area, right, that's been impacted. This is a neighborhood that was impacted by the porta potty cleaning business. Since 2013, they've been dealing with this dust storm, essentially, that comes from this business that is driving these 18-wheelers through an unpaved 17-acre property. And it's leading to, it's really, this used to be like the Alamo Heights of the Black community. And so a community that has cared for itself, taken care of itself for so long and taken care of its own, now being basically dumped on by these industrial businesses. And the fight is much larger than just this neighborhood. There's been, again, you'll remember Doggett took place in my district, and that was another industrial use that a community wanted to fight because it does prevent those things that make a neighborhood, the shops, the businesses, the restaurants, the walking to go do things with your family.
Truck dealership.
A big truck dealership inhibits that. It basically stunts any possible growth. That area is around Converse, which could have grown in the way that we're seeing Helotes grow. But we're seeing the kind of opposite thing happen. And so throughout the district, there's this desire to, stop with the car washes, stop with the 18-wheelers driving up and down my street, parking in my neighborhood at night, stop with the warehouses popping up on Eisenhower next to Pre-K for SA. Do what you can to stop. So I've been acquiring land in an attempt to, my goal is really to build, there's 2 properties that I've recently acquired. One is going to be a senior center with affordable housing for seniors. Another one is going to be a multi-generational center with affordable housing for seniors. But I'm also working to acquire land for park space, because that's one of the biggest things we're losing trees, and they're being chopped down to put up these big storage facilities. But this community, going back to them, they've been dealing with some of the worst of it for a very long time. And so I think we started this conversation back in like 2022, 2023. And it was, let's go through the process. Let's see what's possible. And large area rezonings are a lot of effort, and they do require a lot of community engagement. And so it's been a process for them. And I think we're coming to a good end.
Right. So what kind of describe for us what's happening? So like how many acres are we talking about, and what kind of zoning changes?
Ooh, I don't want to lie.
I mean, that part just generalize, because I know it's a lot.
I think it's about 450 acres.
I was thinking in terms of blocks. I was
like Harvard Place.
I think because we
you
just
had to
talked
do
about
that.
this.
I'm over here. I was like trying to map it out in my head. I'm looking at the graph of the red and the green and all that. I'm over here trying to. That's so funny. That's so funny.
Because it's going to council pretty soon. You should probably remember the number of acres.
Well, we don't deal in terms of acres. That's not the. And a lot of it is not going to be. Some of them are being changed.
Yeah,
they're being changed, not necessarily to C2 or C3, but they're going to be light industrial. There's things that are happening throughout that.
What about heavy industrial users who are already there, and like their property could be rezoned? Will their operations be grandfathered, or like how would the city handle that?
So with this specific large area rezoning, most of the folk that are doing industrial are doing light industrial.
Okay.
And so many are being brought into compliance because they're not, or they haven't been in compliance. There's some that want light industrial instead of C2, C3 because they want the additional uses that they could get out of it, which it's not a plethora of uses you could get out of some of these properties. I don't know if it's dad brain, but the question was, what about heavy industrial? I don't think there are, but in that instance, what would happen is they would be grandfathered in. Mm-hmm. Depending on the kind of facility, what that messes with is their insurance, maybe financing sometimes if they want to, if you have a facility that's out of compliance and it burns down, you're not going to be able to rebuild it. And so financing, the insurance, all that kind of stuff becomes way more fickle. Mm-hmm. But they would be grandfathered in at the use.
And so when does this go to city council?
I want to say early November.
I think it's next week.
Is next week November?
Yes.
Oh my God.
Right? November 6th.
No, time flies during campaign.
Was when it was scheduled.
Yeah, it's November 7th, right? Is that the
6th or 7th?
Is that it?
Yes.
Are you expecting a big fight? Because I could imagine some council members saying, well, what about, it's like, did you spend enough time with the industrial, with companies that are already in that area? If you walked them through your thinking, if you explained what all the ramifications are?
We feel really good about the work that we've done, me and my team, and no longer requires a supermajority. So we're feeling solid about it. I don't foresee we've been working to why it no longer requires supermajorities. We've been working with certain property owners to revoke their opposition. So we're getting people to buy in.
Okay.
Many of them, it really comes down to a misunderstanding. Zoning is a lot. Zoning is a lot to understand, and it's not something that everybody has an expertise in. And all you really want to know at the end of the day is like, am I going to be hurt as a result of this change?
Yeah.
And so we really did want to minimize any sort of any of that, but we do have to think long term about the future of the neighborhood and how do we protect the residents.
Right.
I want to go back to the 2 pieces of land that you were describing. Where are those parcels, and how did that come about that you thought, I'm going to do this myself?
Yes. So we have a property that's right next to Copernicus Park. It was owned by SEISD. So we purchased it in May of 23, I think it was. It was either 23 or 24. And that one came about because I wanted a senior center. And so I allocated some funds for a site site study, not site study, it's a location study, as well as a conceptual renderings of what a site could look like once that site was determined. And so they identified maybe 11 or 12, Public Works and the contractor identified 11 properties throughout the city. That one was the one that fit my budget, and it was the largest. It was 12.2 acres. And so got moving last year as a part of the budget. I got design funded. So it's currently under design. And my hope is either to find some other mechanism to fund it, but the easiest one is always the bond program. Might be a little bit more difficult just depending on what happens with our bond capacity. But the bond is sort of my last option. So I feel fine regardless for that one. The other one is adjacent to Pre-K for SA East on Eisenhower to Mid-Crown. And that one is about an 8.6, 8.8 acre property. See, I remember that. That one's
I didn't mean to make you self-conscious.
that one's a really cool one because again, it's right next to Pre-K for SA. That's really the only city-owned, that and Fire Station 24, the only city-owned facilities in the northeast side of my district. And so this is an opportunity to address some of those needs that folk have of, I want something for my kids to do. I want a community center. There's no third places for us. And then with that, we're going to have a park, and then we're also going to have housing for seniors. And so I think that's it's been a really great opportunity.
That's awesome. My producer is starting to look panicky because I think we're probably going on the 2-hour mark at this point. So I'm going to cut it off there. Councilman, thank you very much. Where are you going to be election night?
Ooh.
No parties?
No.
Is there a property party? No, probably not.
I don't know that I want.
Right. For the no campaign.
I don't know. I will be with my daughter and my family.
That's good.
We'll have a nice dinner.
Sounds great.
Oh, you know what? No, I'm going to be on I'll be on KSAT Live.
Oh, cool. Okay.
So I will not be with my family, actually.
Well, we'll be watching. So thank you very much. And thank you for joining us. If you've not signed up for the new and improved ENside Politics newsletter, go down to show notes, click through, sign up, and I'd sure appreciate it. Thanks a lot. And we will see you next week. Next week, we're going to have a special edition of ENside Politics the day after the election, so we can actually have something to talk about because we've been going over how it might go for months now. We'll know Wednesday, so we'll talk about it then. Thanks a lot. See you then. Bye.